Here's Butler, and he ties it with the outside shot.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Looking to get to the edge, and he gets there. There goes Abner into plus territory. One man to beat. How about a Baylor touchdown to open our second half? 100 yards to the house.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Now with 5. Mitchell wants another three, and he finds it.
Ooh. And you want him to play football, Grant.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
And Miami in the lead. White going long to Hill. Out of bounds at the 5-yard line. A great throw and a perfect catch.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, hello. Here we are, SicEm365 Radio. A little bit later than normal. We launch every afternoon at 3 o'clock, but it's been busy in here. The documentary about the Baylor men's basketball team and Baylor athletics, which is being filmed and also underwritten by a lot of you, the great members of SicEm365.com, and also our incredible partners with Colt, Ashley, and Brian. They were in this studio all day long and actually just walked out with a couple of pieces of equipment. Armstrong's been here. Jack's been here. Paul, Craig, David Smoak here. We are on set. They have interviewed a lot of people and that documentary that they hope to release by sometime in September on many things Baylor athletics, but including the fact that they won the national championship. Tweety Carter, who will be a part of the documentary, he was interviewed earlier this week. He's going to join us at 5:30. Former Cowboys quarterback Danny White in a moment. And then also today we'll have John Machota, theathletic.com, on the Cowboys. Emma is here. Hayden is, by the way, here. And Hayden has found an algorithm to put up our Cowboys and other segments getting more hits than ever before. Hayden, thank you. Emma's here. Emma's been gone. She needed a little mental health rest from us, and so she's back to be a part of SicEm365 Radio. We'll have baseball tonight on SicEm365 and 106.7. Bosqueville in the 2A semifinal against Garrison. Lark Smith in Round Rock, he will join us and be a part of that broadcast at 6:45 on SicEm365, also on the YouTube and on the link and everywhere else, plus 106.7, the Eagle FM. Thanks to Prophecy Radio Group for that. Jim Schlossnagle is the new baseball coach at Texas A&M. Craig, this is not a surprise.
No, this was rumored for the last few days. This has been kind of swirling, and with TCU's early exit, I know a lot of the Frog fans out there were kind of wondering if perhaps that was the last time they were going to see Jim Schlossnagle coaching the Frogs, and it sure enough was. He's now going to the Aggies. They've spent big money. I mean, Buzz Williams in basketball, obviously Jimbo in football, and now making this move with Schloss at A&M. I mean, it's a great hire for A&M. I mean, it is. And I said yesterday I wouldn't be surprised to see him take it. So, yeah, that is definitely a minus for the Big 12 and a plus for the SEC.
So that's a story we'll get into a little bit later on. Also, the name, image, and likeness. There was a ruling today. We'll get into that. What does it mean? The Power 5 or Autonomy 5 conferences have released a statement on that. But we're now joined by former Cowboys great quarterback Danny White on SicEm365 Radio. He's been with us on a handful of occasions, been nice enough to join our show. Danny, thank you very much for your time. How much, there's a big difference obviously now in what can be done during the offseason. Was there a time though back when you were playing, did it go straight from the draft to mini camps to OTAs to whatever they called it to eventually training camp, or was there a long break that you had between the draft and also training camp?
Yeah, it was just one long break. And we didn't have OTAs, mini camps, that stuff. It was just a long break. I mean, we were with our coaches. We were out throwing the ball around. We were lifting weights. We were getting ready. And then we went to training camp and right into the season.
What were the
Would you think players would like the long off season now compared to what they are? Because they seem to be kind of fighting back on some of these OTAs.
Oh, it's gotten so complicated, and it changes every year, and the Players Association gets involved in it, and what they can do and what they can't do, and how many hours they can practice, and veteran days off, and it's just it's crazy. I would like to see it simplified a little bit, not so many rules and regulations, and just go get ready for the season and go play. But anytime money gets involved, and it's all about money, and it's gotten so big, and the attention has gotten with social media, and it's gotten so crazy that I guess you have to monitor it, and I don't know. I go to the games, watch the games, and don't pay too much attention to all that other stuff.
Yeah, keep it simple, right? Not too complicated. Danny, we've had quite a few former athletes on from 70s and 80s, and one of the comments they always make is about like the nutrition level that athletes have nowadays. These personal trainers, you got trainers on the team, like the health aspect of it is so wildly different from when many played years ago. What was your workout routine like? I mean, was that something you kind of had to do on your own, and what did that consist of? Especially, I imagine compared to today, it was quite different.
Yeah, it was all on our own in the beginning of my career. Now, at the end of my career, we were starting to get into having controlled workouts. We had a conditioning coach that monitored all that stuff, and we actually got to the point where the club was actually paying certain players to work out. And that was just so radical. And now it's just commonplace. Everybody gets paid to work out and to come to the facility and not do it on their own. And again, it's all about money. And some guys, it's a big deal. If you're Aaron Rodgers, it's not such a big deal. You have that kind of control, and everything is monitored. Every breath you take, every step you make, everywhere you go, it's all monitored.
You almost started singing a song with us, right? Every breath you take, every move you make.
Every move you make. I'll be watching you. Yeah,
Danny,
I'll be watching.
I would think not, but was there ever a time you went to training camp where you weren't in shape?
No. That's a short answer. No, that was not even, I would be letting down so many people if that were to happen. And, it wasn't going to camp but it was being at the practice field every day for 2 months before that. And especially as a quarterback, there were so many guys that were counting on you, and it didn't have anything to do with money. It was not wanting to let your teammates down first and foremost, and then the organization, and then the fans. There were just a lot of people that were counting on you to be the best you could be, and that was enough. That was the motivation that drove us to go in, and then we were just grateful that the club gave us these facilities, this beautiful blue tin surrounded practice field on Forest Lane in Dallas, that we had total access to go work out. And I'm being facetious a little bit, but it was one football field, an outdoor slab of cement with weights on it, and it gradually got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the day came when we moved to Valley Ranch, and oh my gosh, they're just absolutely going overboard with the facilities that they're providing us with, and it was like a country club.
What the one you were talking about was off 75, right? The original place where you worked out.
Well, it was off 75 and LBJ 635. It was right there, kind of on that southeast quadrant of that intersection, and Greenville Avenue and all that was just right there. The grocery store across the road, and a couple little asphalt parking lots, and that was it.
You could fry an egg on their practice field. There's no question about it.
Well, and the Days Inn look right down on our practice field. Right to the north of it. And I remember Coach Landry. Every time we played the Redskins, he would buy out the hotel because he knew that they had spies up there of our practice.
Yeah, George Allen with binoculars looking down.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't him no question.
Absolutely.
Back in the day,
Danny, what's the conversation like between players on your teams about Cliff Harris and Drew Pearson and the fact that this is finally the year that they will get their gold jackets?
Well, it's just a, you're right. It's finally come, and it's exciting for all of us. Those of us have kind of been forgotten, and we get one more shot at being a part of something. And I told Drew, I was with him the other day, I'm just proud to have been one small sliver of his journey and getting to the Hall of Fame, and he always has been really good to me and nice, and saying how lucky he was to have two quarterbacks, not just one. Well, one and a half maybe, but he's always been great, and it really is. It's going to be fun for me to go back to Canton and actually just be there as an observer, if nothing else, and watch the guy that I threw the ball to. I had a couple of games, the Atlanta playoff game, where he caught two passes from me to win the game and send us to the next round of the playoffs. And so it's just, it's just great to just be a part of it. I can't even imagine what it's like actually going in,
Danny, there were a lot of times that it seemed like the Cowboys, there was something missing when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Not only players, but there was something there. But other teams seemed to have whoever was up, they got in. The Steelers, obviously the Packers and the Lombardi had a great run, but there were a few others. Was there a time, maybe the 49ers, was there a time when you wondered why more Cowboys weren't getting in?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like they're like siblings, and you always have a biased view of what they were and what they did and how hard they worked, and you knew them inside out, and you saw everything that went into it, and you just wondered, But then you meet these guys from the other teams. I mean, I hated John Riggins, I hated Joe Montana, and then you meet these guys. You play in a golf tournament with them, or you some kind of an event where you actually get to meet them, and you know what? They're just as human as you are, and they've worked hard, and they've done a lot as well, and it's almost sacrilege to think that I would play in a golf tournament with Joe Montana. I never would have dreamed that would happen, and when I played, now today you see players after the game and they're all hugging each other and they're buddies and they're pals. That never happened when I played. Those guys were like aliens. They were like from another planet, and when the game was over, you went right to your locker room and, either celebrated or threw your helmet around, and it was truly warfare, and that's another part of the game that I think has kind of gotten lost. Players move from team to team to team to team, and so it's one big social group that everybody knows everybody, and it's a lot different than it was when I played.
You obviously had a stretch of 3 consecutive years where you all were in the NFC Championship game and so close. Obviously, Philadelphia got you pretty good, but the other games with the 49ers and Washington were pretty close. Washington eventually separated. Did you ever spend much time what if you could have won one of those or two of those or three of those, the kind of run you could have had as a starting quarterback with the Cowboys?
No, not really. I felt like the 49ers game was probably the closest we came. The Redskins game, I was knocked out in the second quarter and didn't play the rest of the game. And the Eagles game was just, it was just in brutal weather, wind blowing 100 miles an hour, wind chill about 20 below zero, and it was just try to get anything done, So, but the 49ers game was one that I thought we were one play away, one fingernail tackle. Eric Wright on Drew Pearson, and there's another one. That would have been my Hail Mary, my version of the Hail Mary, and Drew would have scored or at least gained another 10 or 15 yards. We kick a field goal and win that game. And isn't it funny how history is made? Because you think of the great plays in the history of football, and none of them are by design. The immaculate reception, the catch, the Hail Mary. Roger will go down in infamy for a pass that was badly underthrown, and it just kind of fate takes over and things happen. And Montana to Clark and the catch would be nothing but another play if Drew is able somehow to break that tackle, or has a tearaway jersey or whatever it takes, and we end up winning that game. And so it's kind of crazy, but no, you don't lose sleep over it. You go out as long as you feel like you gave it 100%. You trained in the off season. You studied your opponent. Mistakes happen, but as long as the effort was always there, then there are no sleepless nights, I promise you.
What do you want to see? Obviously good defense. What do you expect from Mike McCarthy's Cowboys in year two? Well, I expect what I expected every year. On paper, they seem to do this every year. But, there's 32 teams who say this. They look at their roster, they look on paper, and they say, we're contenders for the Super Bowl. And the league has done a remarkable job of promoting the game, promoting each team, and the Cowboys are as good on paper as maybe they've ever been. Maybe I've ever seen them. Now, losing a guy like Sean Lee hurts in the locker room, but that's the thing we don't get to see is the interaction, and it's such a big part of the game. The chemistry, the leadership, all the intangibles that go into guys playing 60 minutes of football and not quitting in the middle of the fourth quarter, getting tired. That just never used to happen. And so the Cowboys, in my opinion, I'd like to see them, like everybody else, play better defense, get Dak back. And if Dak's healthy, and which he is, then offensively, you got to look at the offensive line and say, well, as long as they can move people around, and is Zeke's a year older, and other than that, man, they've got as good a battery, quarterback and receivers, as there is in the league. Quarterback, receivers, running back, and so defensively, they just gotta hold teams to 20 points or less, and they're going to win every game. And that's what Cowboy fans are saying everywhere.
When you think about it, it's been 26 years. I brought this up. We brought it up to Babe Laufenberg yesterday. He joined us. Could you ever imagine the Cowboys would ever go? And I know it's hard. It's hard to win, and sometimes people take it for granted. And the way you guys spit things out when you were with Landry and the Cowboys, it's 26 years since they even played for a conference title. Could you ever imagine that being the case?
No. And that's, people ask me about my career, and coming off of the Super Bowl years, we went to the championship game 3 years in a row. In the 5 years that I started and finished the season, we were in 10 playoff games, 5-5. And so to go that long is really, truly almost unthinkable. But, the converse of that is the fact that the league has done such a great job of spreading it around. With the draft, the combine, they're making it possible for every team in the league to compete. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, look at Jacksonville, how bad they were last year, and now everybody's looking at them as the team to beat. And that's happening to a lot of teams, and it's a credit what the league, the owners have done with the system to keep all 32 teams in it, until the second half of the season at least, or maybe the fourth quarter.
Danny White with us, former Cowboys great with us on SicEm365 Radio. When you watch Dak, and you've said what they do on offense, when he's healthy, when you watch him play, how dynamic has he been?
Well, I don't know if dynamic is the word. He's a great leader. We talk about checking all the boxes, and if there's 20 boxes to check, he's a 9 or a 10 in just about all of them, and that's what you see in Dak. Now, the one thing that he has never had to do is come back from an injury, really a serious injury. And quarterbacks, and I know because I went through it, you can suffer from shell shock a little bit if you get hit enough, get injured enough. Now, what's going to be going on through his mind the next time he breaks out of the pocket and runs to his left? Mm-hmm. Is that something that's going to affect him? Is he going to go down a little bit quicker? We don't know, because he's been so durable that he's never had to go through something like that before, and this is the first time. So we'll all watch him grow, and I think he's going to be fine, just knowing his character, knowing how hard he works, knowing the kind of condition he's in. I mean, the guy's like a linebacker playing quarterback, and so this was such a freak deal, and I think he realizes that the chances of that ever happening again are pretty remote. But it can be an issue. It can get in your head to where you're actually watching things that you're not supposed to be watching. You're going down a little bit sooner than you would normally. You're running out of bounds rather than getting that extra 2 yards and getting a first down. And so not that I think that'll happen to Dak, but that's one thing we've just never seen from him.
Danny, I didn't mention this the last time we were on the show, but I brought it up after, and I wanted to mention it to you. One of my favorite childhood memories was the year after you retired. You were speaking at the Independence Bowl luncheon. I was living in Bossier City, and my parents had a tremendous argument about it because my mom didn't think you should go out of school. Even if we were in war-torn country, she would have wanted me to be in school. But she finally acquiesced, and my dad and I went to that luncheon to see you, and it was one of my absolute favorite childhood memories. And I found the picture of it the other day, and I would have showed it on the show today, except I was too adorable, and I don't want people to be disappointed how I turned out.
Well, you know what? We all have our moments, and it's all relative. So I'm glad I was able to bring a smile to someone's face, and that's what it's all about. When you get to be my age, guys, you know what? It's funny how championships and money and Super Bowls all kind of fade away, and it's all about whether or not you did the best you could do, and maybe made someone forget their troubles for a couple of hours. If that was something I was able to do, then it was a successful career.
Danny, thank you very much for being a part of the show with us yet again. Thanks for your time, your insight, and hopefully see you down the road.
Hey, you're very welcome. Anytime, guys.
Danny White took the Cowboys to 3 consecutive NFC championship games, was a part of their Super Bowl when they beat Denver. Roger Staubach, of course, was the starter. I looked at his career. The last 3 years he played, 87, 86 he got hurt, broke his wrist, and the Cowboys faded after that. 87 was a strike year. 88 was a year in which he also was injured, and then 88, I think it is, when maybe somebody else became the starter. So he put up some Steve Plur. He put up some big numbers, and always so close. But that's when the Cowboys had that run of 3 consecutive. That's why you don't take them for granted. You get there, we say, I haven't been there in 26 years. They went to 3 in a row and didn't get to the Super Bowl when they were spitting out Super Bowl appearances against the Steelers and the Dolphins and others as well.
Told a great story, now that I'm remembering, about Jack Lambert. The first time I'd heard of Jack Lambert, because I was like 10, years old, so it was already, and he said that he thought that they used to keep Jack Lambert in a cage, feed him raw meat, and show him video quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, I think that really was. That wasn't even that was true. He was. Of course, Jack Lambert in today's NFL would be kicked out of games, or would be fined so much or suspended. It's different, and you wonder about sometimes when we've asked other former players what would they be like to play in this day and age of football. By the way, an update, New Deal leads Shiner 5-0. Why is that important? The winner of that game plays the winner of Bosqueville Garrison in the broadcast we have coming up from Round Rock tonight, 106.7 and also SicEm365 Radio.
Yeah, it's cool to hear from Danny White. He's a legend, and I was not alive for most of his career, or I was too young for most of his career, but over the years been able to learn about him. Always enjoyed to hear him talk, and I was just reading an excerpt a little while ago about him and Steve Pelluer back in the 86 season, and they were both playing, and then White got hurt, and then Pelluer went on to throw 17 interceptions.
Yeah.
Wow, that's just that number, just 17 interceptions. But I was wondering, why did they have 2 quarter? Oh, he broke his ankle or wrist, right?
They were 6-2, the number 1 offense in the NFL, and Carl Banks hit him from the blind side.
Yes,
sacked him. Broke his wrist and tore ligaments, knocked him out. The Cowboys lost that game and went 7-9 on the year.
But by the way, do you want to know, I was 6 years old in 1986, and the first time I heard the F word was in reference to Steve
from Pablo?
from
Pablo Catalina?
From old Pedro.
Yeah.
Not only did Pelluer...
He didn't say that much.
Not only did Pelluer throw 17 interceptions over the course of that season, but he was sacked 12 times against the San Diego Chargers that year as well. 12 times in one single game.
I'm not so sure if that also
The Baylor O-line wasn't blocking that day for him either, which is amazing.
I thought that he was. The Bears won the Super Bowl in 85, but I thought there was a game when Pelluer started against Chicago. It might have been after White went out, and they destroyed him. Of course, they won the game like 46-3 or whatever it was, or 48-0. He's great. Danny White. Now, I compare him in a way. Statistically, there's no comparison between Romo and White, but it's a different era. But Danny White doesn't seem, when you ask who are the greatest quarterbacks in Cowboys history, you have, it all depends, Staubach and Aikman, right? Meredith is in that discussion, but a lot of times you'll see Romo's name pop up. Maybe it's recency bias. Maybe it's because he was really, really good. But Danny White took them to 3 consecutive NFC championship games, and Romo never sniffed one.
I did a podcast with someone recently on my Believe podcast, and he believes Tony Romo is the second best quarterback in Cowboys history.
I don't get all that
I don't
Romo
either.
love, dude. Like I think he is Danny White basically, but not even as accomplished. And the reason why he gets so much more attention is just recency bias and the fact that he played in an era where there was a lot more. Here he is on a commercial. Here he is on CBS. Here he is. I mean, he's everywhere. Danny White was on your TV for 2 hours, and then he was gone for the most part the rest of the week, half the year. But, with Romo, he's golf tournaments and commercials and announcer stuff and all that. So he's just kind of remained top of mind, and was also, Cowboys quarterback, so he became a much bigger deal than had he been the Jacksonville quarterback and done the exact same thing for the exact same amount of seasons.
I agree, and I also think it was Romo because he wasn't drafted, so there's a little bit of that. But Danny White he could spin it.
Was a punter.
He could spin it. Yeah, he was really, really good.
Running back for a while in some other league or early on in his NFL career. Yeah,
he came out of Arizona State, played for Frank Kush. It was nuts.
He played the World Football League
with Memphis, I think, the Showboats. Yeah. All right, we have kind of an interesting show today because we started so late. We started so late because the documentary film group was here, the crew was here, and they're amazing to deal with. There are many more interviews and time and recordings between now and whenever they release the documentary on the Baylor men's basketball national championship team. And they're going deep now. They are going deep. And one of the guys that they already interviewed was Tweety Carter. He'll join us today at 5:30 about the documentary. And also we haven't had a chance to visit with him even when that run was going on because he was overseas at the time. And he's going to join us today at 5:30. So there we are with that.
Are we completely sure that Tweety isn't a spy who plays basketball? I mean, he's been in a lot of countries.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I might have just come up with a good movie idea. I'm just saying right now.
Well, Baylor, with all the players they've had overseas and still do, maybe this is FBI headquarters. I don't know.
Armstrong, a spy that plays basketball. Would you watch that movie? Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from John Machota, theathletic.com. Cowboys are going through an OTA. You heard what Danny White said. It's a completely different animal. Man, they were gone for maybe a couple of months. Yeah, they'd work out at wherever they were, but it wasn't the same. And then they'd show up at Thousand Oaks for training camp, and that was it. There were none of these slew of OTAs or practices or voluntary or mandatory or whatever. And the facilities were no different than what Grant Taft probably faced a little bit. Even with the Cowboys, when he came to Baylor, they had, like he said, a concrete area where they worked out and lifted weights. And I remember going there a couple of times. It was hot as hell off of I-75 or Highway, Highway 75, and also up near Greenville Avenue. When we come back, we'll have John Machota. Also today, Tweety Carter at 5:30. That documentary, we hope, if you want to be involved in that, you want to help with that, contact Ashley or Brian or Colt. Or contact me, and we'll make sure we get the right information to you if you want to be a donor and contribute, because it is going to be awfully special. This is SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace, it's not this weekend, but very soon, Father's Day. And so that they have some specials for you to get for Father's Day weekend, including 10% off all Meat Church seasonings. I heard from Meat Church. When I first heard about Meat Church, I didn't know what the heck it was. I thought it was like somewhere just where, it's just the name of a church or whatever. Or a butcher shop. Well, Waco Custom Marketplace is a butcher shop. They're a bakery as well and a local grocery store. 10% off all Meat Church seasoning. 10% off their milk. Also, 2 pounds of 21 to 25 easy peel shrimp for $11.99. Boneless pork butt at $2.70 a pound. Fresh ground beef, pound of fresh ground beef is $2.75 a pound. Prime New York strip, $13.99 a pound. And choice New York strip is $12.99 a pound, just $1 off of that. And then if you want to go to Select, and by the way, Select is very good. It's $11.99. Select bone-in ribeyes, $9.99 a pound, and their steaks can be custom cut just the way you want, whatever thickness, whether it's Select, whether it's Prime, or whether it's Choice. They have all of those options at Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Allen Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. This truck is perfect for whatever your lifestyle calls for. Impressive towing, high-strength steel frame, and the smoothest, most comfortable ride of any truck. Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The Ram Spotlight event won't last long. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available, touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool, upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts, and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Sliding. Throwing. Touchdown, Dallas! C.D. Lamb.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, it's 5 o'clock hour. 5:30, Tweety Carter, former Baylor All-American. He'll join us today on SicEm365 Radio. John Machota, so good to have OTAs, mandatory, whatever you want to call them, and he joins us now. And John, how much do you get done? What do you watch for? Do you watch for who's taking reps? Do you look for who's not there? Somebody off on the side, any particular players? How do you handle covering the OTA?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, because when we first get there, that's usually just, kind of taking attendance, making sure everybody's out there, while knowing that, hey, some guys can come out maybe 10, 15 minutes later. So that's usually where it starts at. And then you're kind of at mercy of whatever they decide to do that particular day. And so once they, if they're going to do some team drill stuff and Dak's going to be out there with the ones and things like that, then that's where like all your focus is at. And the other thing is too, is where they have us, we're in behind one end zone. So a lot of the stuff the offensive and defensive line does in individual drill wise is all at the far end of the field. So it's a little bit harder to see exactly what's going on there. But generally speaking, this particular year, it's been a lot of watching Dak and just seeing what Dak looks like, how everything's evolving with him, and Gallup and C.D. Lamb mainly, because Amari Cooper's been held out because he had a foot surgery in January and won't be back until training camp. So, yeah, it's mainly that stuff. And then the other one that just jumps out at you, you're just constantly find yourself watching Mike Parsons, just because, hey, that's a first-round pick. And it seems like every time you watch that defense, they're moving him around and putting him in different spots. So, yeah, a mixed bag, really. But to answer your question, it really comes down to whatever they choose to do that particular day.
Do you think Randy Gregory will get an extension in the middle of the year if he plays like he did at the end of last year?
I really don't. I think they'll wait till the end of the year, and I honestly think that he will give the Cowboys a team-friendly, discount. I really do. I just think that if everything keeps going in the direction it is right now, I think he's really happy with where he's at. That's not to say that they won't have discussions during the season, but I think if things are going well, I don't think they're going to want to mess with it in the middle of the season. I think they're going to want it to just keep rolling. But I'd be very surprised if, like, Randy Gregory, even if he had a huge year, was like, all right, see you guys later. I'm going to see if I can get top dollar out on the open market. Like, I really genuinely feel like he really enjoys being with the Cowboys and, feels like his best ball is still ahead of him and he wants that to be with the Dallas Cowboys. And I genuinely think he really likes the teammates he has here and things like that. So, yeah, I guess if it got crazy and you had 10 sacks in the first 7 or 8 games, hey, maybe you see something in the middle of the year because both sides want to get it done or something like that. But talking to Randy the other day when we had him, I didn't really get the feel that it's a big part on his mind. I think he's more focused on whatever he wants to show it on the field, and then all that other stuff will take care of itself. So I just don't get the sense that he's going to be looking for just the absolute biggest deal, no matter what team it is, come the offseason, regardless of how well he plays.
John, I saw Dak's comment about being mentally over the injury and that he's going to need some help in getting over that. He's kind of directing that at the media. Do you think the line of questioning changes for him and maybe people get more away from the injury questions, or is that just too big of a storyline to be able to do as a member of the media?
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I can tell you this right. I can tell you this right now. His actions will be what allows it to happen. If he's out there when we get to training camp and he's playing well and he has these, the practices we've gotten to see, then there's no reason to sit there and keep talking about that stuff if he looks like his normal self. But if he's struggling, whether it be on throws that he normally would make, he's not, maybe he doesn't look as mobile, something changes, then it's going to come back to the injury. Like, are you 100%? Are you back? I mean, that's just the way the questioning's going to be. But if he looks like normal Dak Prescott, like we've seen, certainly these last 2 days, then yeah, it'll go away with that. But if there's anything that looks like it's limiting him or heck, if here's the thing, while he's done just about everything during these OTAs and minicamp, he hasn't done anything with a pass rush. And so there's going to be times once we get out to Oxnard where there's going to be guys that are going to, be near his ankles and rolling around. Now they're not going to be trying to tackle him on the ground, but accidents happen. There's going to be stuff like that. And then you get in that first preseason game, you'll probably see some action in one of them at least. And, there's going to be a situation where there's somebody around his feet and things like that. And, those are other stepping stones like that you have to see in this process. And obviously he doesn't want to say that to us that like, well, I still got to see if I can take a hit and things like that. But that's also going to be a part in his mind too. I mean, it's just natural as a human being that, well, I'm interested to see what happens when I take this next hit, because you're not going to get it. I mean, it's not like he's in his backyard at his house getting tackled by guys. It's not like he's out here getting tackled by guys. Like, it's all like a lot of drill work and stuff. So until that stuff happens, you still don't know 100%. But I will say, off of what I've seen throughout OTAs in these last 3 days of minicamp, he certainly looks back to being the Dak Prescott he was before the injury.
We mentioned we had Danny White on, John, at 4:30 earlier this afternoon, and he was talking about the first time he has to scramble and move to his left, even if he feels good. Is it going to force him to maybe change the way he would take on a defender or launch himself in the air or things that made him special, and that's going to happen. And maybe he can just go about doing that, but you wonder if that affects him initially.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of factors like that. And to be honest with you, it's not just him with health-wise. It's like, he could have a lot of that stuff and maybe not be 100% back. But if you tell me Tyron Smith's healthy and Lyle Collins is healthy and Zeke's healthy, and then you have Gallup and Amari and CD out there, I don't think and Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz, like there's just so much potential on this offense that I don't even think he has to be playing at a Pro Bowl level for this to be a high scoring machine. So some of that stuff will factor in, particularly late in games, like close games, where it's like, you're going to want to, your body just kind of does what your habits are. You're not thinking, you're just going. And so, yeah, that'll be interesting to monitor and stuff like that. But I just feel like when I look at this team, if they don't have the injury problems that they had last year, this offense, it's just got so much potential that I don't even think Dak has to be as absolute best of his best for them to execute on offense. Now, obviously the defense has to be a lot better.
Connor McGovern played pretty well down the stretch when he finally got playing time at guard when they decided to, kick Zach Martin out. And Connor Williams, obviously, played. He was the only offensive lineman who played the majority of the year. Is this a make or break year for Connor Williams? Do the Cowboys feel good about replacing him if maybe he doesn't live up to that potential as a second-round pick?
Oh, no, this is a big year for him. I mean, everything that I've seen with the ones, he's been out there at left guard. I don't see this being I went into this offseason thinking it'd be kind of a competition between Williams and McGovern, but I don't see that being the case now. They're going to give Williams, every opportunity as long as he's healthy. He's going to be the starting left guard. And so, it's a big year for him, obviously, contract year. And if he plays well, he's another guy. I don't see him trying to get out of here for the absolute highest dollar. Like, I think he'll prefer to continue playing alongside Tyron Smith. And then, as Tyler Biadasz grows in his role, as the starting center in his second year. So, yeah, it's a huge year for him. And it's the fourth year. And so by now, you should be playing some of your best ball. And so, all eyes are going to be on him. And as you guys know, I feel like for this offensive line over the last couple of years, he's been kind of the one that people have, pointed to the most, and pointed out his mistakes more than others just because of some of the situations. And heck, he's had some games and several games where he didn't play well. And so he's kind of been the guy that, if he was on a normal offensive line where there may be some other guys that, weren't all pros or, highly thought about, then maybe the spotlight wouldn't be on him so much. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of eyes on Connor Williams. And if he is to struggle, then they're in a good spot because Connor McGovern looks like he could be a solid player at either of the guard spots or back up at center if needed.
John, I know this is so early to even discuss it. It's June. But other than Dak at quarterback, who is the most irreplaceable player other than him?
That is a good question. I immediately jumped to Tyron Smith. I just think there's a big drop off after Tyron at left tackle. I just don't think that, I don't think you'd want to be messed around and moving Lyle Collins over there and then moving Zach Martin out to right tackle and doing all that stuff. Tyron Smith piece is key. And then the other part of it is that if you were to lose him for an entire season or let's say half the season, I think they'd be fine for a few games with Ty Nsekhe, who they signed, as a free agent swing tackle. But I don't think you want him out there, starting many games. And I also look at Tyron because, with him talking to us the other day about how getting this neck surgery is just helped him so much also with his back. And now he really has this goal of playing, quite a bit longer, 4 or 5 more years. I mean, I just think that losing him would be, it's hard to replace a guy like that. And at that big of a position. So that would probably be the one that I jump to immediately because, the wide receivers are talented, but they are in a position where even if one of their wide receivers went down, their wide receiver group is still are really good. Blake Jarwin looked like he was going to be their starting tight end last year, and he was to start the season. He gets hurt, and Dalton Schultz stepped up. So there's actually a little bit of depth there. The linebacker position, they've added a lot of depth there. I guess on defense, the player would be DeMarcus Lawrence because I think he's clearly their most talented defender, but overall, after Dak, it's got to be Tyron.
I know the backup quarterback has been a constant point of consternation, but you could make the argument that it's easier for the quarterback to step in than it would be for somebody to step into Tyron Smith's shoes, given the weapons that quarterback would have. And we saw it a little bit with Andy Dalton last year in that they've got enough weapons to where if you protect him, he can make something happen on offense, as opposed to whenever the Cowboys have lost Tyron Smith, it's like the whole building's on fire.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really think if Tyron Smith is healthy all of last year and, even without Dak, I think the Cowboys end up winning the division. And I don't think they're going very far in the playoffs, but they at least win the division, and instead of being a 6-10 team. So yeah, I agree with that. Now, I do think Andy Dalton is without question better than Garrett Gilbert, and so there's a little bit more of a drop off there. I think Garrett Gilbert I think if Garrett Gilbert's your number 3, I think you're really, really good shape. But I still don't know if Dak was to go down and you got to go to Garrett Gilbert 6-7 games, I just don't think your chances of just keeping everything going are in great shape. I think you can fill in for a game or two, but I guess the biggest thing I'm getting to is I've told you guys before, I don't think they're done at quarterback. I really don't. I think they're going to be kicking tires and keeping their eyes open. I think Will McClay's going to have his eye on all 31 other rosters to see if guys get cut or there's other opportunities to try guys out. I don't think that I still today, I don't think that you can just go ahead and, get out the marker and say Garrett Gilbert's the backup quarterback for 2021.
Gardner Minshew, make it happen.
I just realized this. Hey, John, have you received an email from Whitney about training camp, credentials, things like that?
I have not. No.
Okay.
They're still going through that process. Like that's, everything points in the direction that they're going to go. But I think that there's still like some, T's to cross and some I's to dot in terms of with the league. But it certainly appears like all systems are go that, they would be out there, who knows, like, July, later end of July, maybe around the 25th, somewhere in there. And then, be out there until, whatever their last preseason game before they come home. So I would say right now, if I'm betting on it, that they're going out to training camp, and it'll be, obviously things will be different. We're not going to go grab guys coming off the field, but I would say right now that I'm certain. Me personally, I'm planning on going out there.
Yeah, that was we have to decide on what we're going to do. They have the Hall of Fame game in August, and how that it always has interrupted things. But thank you, John. Appreciate your time. John Machota, go-to with theathletic.com and the Cowboys on many things, the OTAs, and eventually some of the position battles. Most irreplaceable player. Your thoughts at 254-339-1122. And now Hayden will put that up with his magic with all of the Cowboy fans around the world.
Let's come back with that, I think. I want to make sure and put that on the board first while I have a chance, because I'm always like 2 seconds late. So.
There were 3 players during the Matt Rule time, when 3 players that went through a Title IX investigation on campus at Baylor for a sexual assault. A jury in Houston has come back with a ruling. We'll come back with that. Plus, there's something going on with the Autonomy 5 conferences discussing the name, image, and likeness, and some of it also pertains to athletes who are foreign athletes and how it may affect them based on what they're allowed to do when they go to another country. All of that and more, plus at 5:30, cannot wait. Tweety Carter, SicEm365 Radio. I spent time with my brothers in Florida, and I'm telling you, my oldest brother, Robert, he loves to smoke cigars, and so does Philip, and so does Michael, my 3 brothers, and when I was with them, I do a lot of that as well, and on occasion when I'm playing golf. The one cigar, my brother loves this one, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. It's the Maestro. It's one of the top-ranked cigars in the country, and in the world. He has, I can't explain to you how much he loves to smoke cigars. He has one of those humidors that looks like a mini refrigerator, like the glass front. It's got all the bells and whistles, and he brought a case of these cigars that all of the various great brands, Cohiba, Padron, among others, including the Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. I say that because those cigars are found at Don's Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Carolyn, Ashley, and Cheyenne understand the cigar business, a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the great brands of cigars. Also CBD products, including Vita Dreams, that might allow you to fall asleep a little bit easier and maybe faster and save anywhere from 15 minutes to maybe an hour or so if you toss and turn. And on top of that, they also have what you need to smoke cigars, but the humidors, travel cases, Pelican cases that may hold 4, 8, 10, 12 cigars, the pouches to keep them humid, to keep them moist, and also the cutters and torch lighters. Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center. Tell Carol and Ashley and Cheyenne that Smokey sent you right off of Valley Mills in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
We have Bosqueville baseball at 6:45. It appears whoever wins Bosqueville Garrison will play New Deal, up 9-0 over Shiner. That game's in the fifth inning in Round Rock. Lark Smith will have the game broadcast for us, SicEm365. Across the board, Link Live, Listen Live, YouTube Live, and also 106.7 FM, The Eagle. But there's a story about Baylor. There's been a lot of decisions, a lot of rulings about Baylor, and a lot of things that they've been through, things they didn't do well enough, or things that were blamed for them, or they were blamed for. Today, there was an actual jury down in Houston looking at a sexual assault case involving Baylor football players.
Yeah, this had to do with Trayvon Lewis, who was one of Matt Rule's first commits. This was all post-Bryles stuff. It also involved a former player named John Arthur, and there was a third player as well, but I wasn't able to remember his name, nor do I know if I've even read the third player's name. I've pretty much only read Lewis and Arthur in all the articles that I've been keeping up with. But this had to do with the case where a young female student, alleged sexual assault. She was a freshman at the time, had sex with one or both of the players. There's like a switching thing going. It's complicated, but basic gist was like a sexual assault claim. And they've been on trial down in Houston, and the jury has come back with the ruling and said that part of this was also that, what's Baylor's culpability? It wasn't just like these two young men or three men and their innocence. It was also, Baylor bears some responsibility as far as this lawsuit said. So today the jury came back in Houston, and they have decided that Baylor has no responsibility for that sexual assault exploitation, as they labeled it, by three ex-football players. They also found, the jury in this civil trial, that they did not assault the woman who was a Baylor student athlete at the time. So not only is Baylor not bearing responsibility, or not bearing responsibility according to the jury, but the players are not either. So that's very interesting. And this is the first big kind of trial that has happened, in the post like Bryles world. Like, we've had all this talk about it and we knew about all these lawsuits, but the actual trials themselves were then delayed because of COVID. And so this one got underway and a few weeks ago, and now it's come to a conclusion.
Here's the problem I have with it. Paula Levine, who we know was all over the sexual assault trial and all that stuff back in 15, 16, whatever, 17, 18, along with Mark Schlabach. She put out a tweet on May the 20th, and she mentioned that this was a trial, the post-scandal trial, first-time Baylor, post-Bryles, etc. And then at the end of her tweet, after Baylor's promise to change, there was no need for that. Today, she came out and she reported the jury in Houston, as Craig just mentioned. Baylor has responded, by the way, to that, in fact, the case and the verdict. I'm not going to read all of it, but this was an important decision that recognized Baylor is not the same institution as it was 3, 4, or even 5 years ago when the university took several unprecedented actions, including leadership changes and the broad implementation of 105 campus-wide recommendations regarding its response to past incidents of sexual and interpersonal violence within the campus community.
I also think legally this is important because it needs to set precedent for things around, like, what is a university responsible for? Like, what are their duties, especially when something may not happen on their campus, it just happens between their students? Where does that line go? Because universities need to know that. They need to know what they need to do. They need to know what their level of responsibility is legally in protecting their students. They also need to know what they should do, again, in turning this over to the authorities, who are the ones who have the expertise to investigate it, not the universities.
Well, and it's very clear that Baylor didn't know what those limitations were, and nor did many universities, right? And so, yeah, you're right. It kind of provides some clarity of, like, okay, are we all of a sudden responsible for off-campus student happenings? Okay, if we are, how are we supposed to manage that, And that was what some of the claims were like, there was one case where it happened 7 miles away or something, and it's like, why didn't Baylor do anything? Well, what are they supposed to do? Like, I mean, honestly, like, I'm not even questioning them having, but like, tell me, like, I don't think the schools know what they're supposed to do. Like, if it happens off campus on a Saturday night, like, what is Baylor supposed to do about that? Unless, obviously if somebody reports it, then that's where Baylor got itself in trouble, was not handling the reporting process correctly. But as far as, like, culpability, I mean, I don't know how they're culpable in any way.
The government has been kind of famous for this over the years, in that I can give you an example of, Florida had a real bad problem with the sugar growers dumping pollutants into the water, into the canals, and got all through the rivers and water supplies and killed a bunch of fish a few years ago. And their response to that was like, okay, we're going to create a commission that's going to regulate it. Who's on the commission? The sugar farmers. Well, I mean, that's like telling your kids, don't eat cookies. You make the rules. There's the jar over there. I don't know the rules. And then it was the same way with Title IX, in that they gave them kind of like broad things that they had to do to, like, get under the, to fit under the rules. Well, then everybody's just going to do the bare minimum.
Yes.
So you can't let them. You need to, if you want something to be regulated, you have to regulate it. You have to say, this is the rule. Otherwise, if you leave it up to interpretation, people are going to get hurt, because the people who don't care or don't think it's a problem aren't going to do anything about it.
Yeah, so and listen, this is not a win-loss column.
No.
We're talking about something that's not good. But this is the first time, it seems like, that I can remember where Baylor, in any kind of a trial that players have been involved, student athletes have been involved, students have been involved, in which this particular case, the jury said that Baylor had no blame here.
What?
And it seems as if perhaps they also handled this correctly when, in fact, the incident occurred, even though I think there was a delay before Title IX did get involved. But those players were separated. I think they may have been on the sideline for one game. Remember, the local TV station made a big deal out of that.
Yep.
But they were separated. They were put in the Title IX, and then eventually those student athletes did not return, I think, either to the school and or the football program.
And that's what I was saying earlier about, like, you take every accusation seriously, of course, but, like, people with they saw Trayvon Lewis on the sideline. I mean, the man's just been accused of something, but they're wanting him to already be in jail. You know what I mean? And, like, that's just so extreme. And there's got to be a better balancing act that's beneficial and safe, not only for the person making the claim, but also the person who might be wrongfully accused. You can't just throw them in jail, because then you can just go around accusing anybody anything and getting them popped in jail. That's not right either. So hopefully, like this has maybe opened some eyes that, not everything is guilt. This leads to conversations, or has already led to conversations where we can have more of a proper balance so that you're not afraid to move forward with allegations, but you're also not afraid that if allegations do come forth that might not be true, that you're totally written off completely in life just because of one thing someone said for whatever crazy reason they might want to falsely accuse. So, I know that there was a post just now, and I know we got to go, but if you're a premium board member, I posted this story. I just posted the tweet, and the first response, I think, is a very good read from good old Franco. If you remember the premium board, you know Franco.
Everyone knows him.
He's the first one to respond to this, and I would go check out that post because it's a positive post that's not taken away from the young woman in this case at all.
All right, I wish we could read it to you, because if you're a premium member, you would love to hear what Franco posted, including contact. I'll say this: contact with John Arthur. So
Yes.
that's in there.
Who was one of the three accused?
Yeah, as well. And then maybe there's an opportunity. The
very end of his message is very cool in regards to John Arthur's future. I'll say that.
Hell yeah, it is. And if you are SicEm365 premium member, that is in what Craig posted about the jury in Houston found Baylor was not to blame for the sexual assault incident and or allegations against 3 former student athletes. When we come back, his name is Tweety Carter. He is among the greatest players ever in Baylor. He's a part of what started the surge for Scott Drew to get to the point where they won a national championship. He did a piece in the documentary. Of course, that airs sometime, they hope, by September. They were in our studio throughout the day today. Chris Charles Scott, among many others. Lisa Adams, among many others. John Calvert as well. And he's next, Tweety Carter on SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLOT.com. Dr. Ken Petty can help you become the high-performance man you want to be when it comes to if, in fact, your testosterone levels drop. And 1 out of every 3 men, as you start to get older, usually kind of in your early 30s and eventually later 30s, early 40s, and then older, your testosterone levels can drop. And also, it could create some symptoms. Sleeping issues, not sleeping well, energy drops. It's part of testosterone, man. It's an adrenaline. And then even problems when it comes to the bedroom or sex or your ED or sex drive. Happens. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues when it comes to low testosterone. Dr. Kent Petty wants to help you out. How? You contact them going to PettyClinicLOT.com. In the top left-hand corner, there's a phone number. There's also a website or an email address, and you can tell them, hey, I heard David Smoak talking about Dr. Petty. I need help. Or maybe I need help. Or can you tell me if I need help? They will set you up with blood work at a lab. The lab results will go to Dr. Petty and his staff. They'll get all of them. There's like 2 pages from everything you could imagine, but a couple of numbers that are huge, including your PSA level and your testosterone. If your testosterone level's too low, Dr. Petty can put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels and get you back to being the man that you want and need to be. Be the high-performance man through PettyClinicLOT.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, PettyClinicLOT.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
So earlier today, there were a bunch of people in this studio, and the documentary is being filmed, Baylor's national championship, the past, the present, the future, and everything else in between. And not just men's basketball, but that is the focus, of course, quite a bit. A lot of great former players and others that will be interviewed along the way. I think Scott Drew tomorrow will spend quite a bit of time, among others. Tweety Carter, who was one that helped launch the run that eventually led to the greatness of the national championship, joins us now, the former All-American on SicEm365 Radio. We don't want to give away what was said by anyone who's been interviewed, but Tweety, I heard you absolutely rocked the film crew with what you did in front of that camera.
That's a blessing. The film crew is amazing. I'm gonna be the first to say, man, if you're a big Baylor fan, I would encourage you to go check it out because it's gonna be amazing, especially with a story ending like this.
Tweety, we haven't gotten to talk to you in a while. I mean, you were overseas. You were
he was busy.
Yeah, busy. You know, doing your job. What was it like following all this from across the pond and having to keep up? And I'm sure you had some pretty late nights where you weren't going to be able to go to sleep until you knew the Baylor score.
Oh, it was crazy, and it was fun. You know, to stay up at 3-4 in the morning knowing you got practice. It was crazy, you know. It didn't matter, you know. Whenever they was playing, I was tuned in. My family was tuned in, so it was just amazing run, amazing ride, and it was just a big blessing to be a part of it, man. Especially, you know, knowing what we've been through, Baylor, knowing what we've been through. You know, it was just a big blessing to see this happen.
Did you feel in some way, or do you still, as a former player, feel like the ebbs and flows as though you were still playing? So when they reach a high like that, it's almost, I mean, you're a part of it in a way, right?
Oh, I never left Baylor. I'm still playing that right now.
Gotcha.
Every year, I'm tuned in. So even when I graduated from that point on, every year I was tuned in. I just appreciate everything Baylor done for me. So, you know, I'm tuned into everything we do. So I'm completely locked in.
Tweety, I know you're very humble, but you also realize how good you are and what you were and what you did and how you helped set the table along with some others as well. How much do you go back and think about how this all began? I know that 2003, it all began when Scott Drew took over a program that not many people wanted to touch, but how much do you feel like that you were a part of that launching pad later on?
Oh, yes. I mean, and the guys before me as well. You know, like you said, when he took over in 2003, you know, a lot of these guys didn't have to come to Baylor. They didn't have to, you know, agree to, you know, all of the punishment that was coming towards Baylor. You know, a lot of the players that came stuck through it, you know, and to see those guys do it, you know, I thought I can do it too as well. And I just want to tilt my hat off to those guys that paved the way for me as well. And, you know, I met a lot of great friends through this whole run and ride, and I'm just thankful and blessed to really be a part of Baylor's program.
What did you think about the 3 guards that Baylor rolled out this year?
Oh, man, them guys was amazing. Them young men was amazing, but I seen they work, you know, and not only them 3, the team, I seen everybody put in work. You know, they always wanted to get better, but those 3 guards, the consistency, the leadership from them, you know, big shot after big shot. One of them was going to step up, you know, and that was what it was about. And that's why they was able to bring home the national championship, because each one of them had each other back out there, and it showed.
This was one of Jared Butler's quotes after they won the title. They did so much for us. He was talking about former players. They did so much for us that we don't even know about. I know guys like Tweety Carter and Rico Gathers, they did so much for me, but I know there's guys that did so much for them, and it means a lot that they can celebrate with us. What do you think of when you hear that quote?
Oh man, Jared, that's a brother to me. You know, he's just amazing. I love what he did. I love what he brought to Baylor, and I'm just that's just a blessing to hear that from him. You know, and me knowing him personally, you know, he's just a great guy, and I'm just so happy for him and the team and the coaching staff.
You know, this all began because a guy named Scott Drew decided he would take a chance at Baylor, and he always believed, and he's had so many people sling arrows at him. Tweety, when you saw that thing end and you saw the emotions and joy, that word joy, we hear that a lot, on his face and among his other staff, Jerome, Jacobs, others among everybody, what did that mean?
Oh, it meant a lot, because I know, you know, not many people would have took this job that Coach Drew did. You know, it was a tough situation. And for him to take this job, it shows how tough he really is. Because, again, you know, a lot of people run from the hard work. You know, if it was easy, anybody would do it. And Coach Drew knew it wasn't going to be easy. You know, all these years later, finally get to raise up that championship, to see him and that coaching staff, like you mentioned, guys like Coach Jacobs, you know, to see those guys, you know, come here and give their all to Baylor. You know, it's just a blessing to see, and see all the coaching staff hold that trophy up along with those players. You know, you appreciate everything that you know you went through during your time here at Baylor.
Scott Drew, from the very beginning, thought and believed that he would win a national championship here. When did he first say that to you, and when did you first start to say, like, oh, this guy's not nuts? He might really have something here.
And this might be crazy. Coach Drew always thought we could win a national championship. He always thought that. You know, he gave us a lot of confidence, you know, and sometimes, you know, you go through ups and downs as players and as coaches during the process. But, I mean, this was about. I always felt confident playing with Coach Drew, you know, and, you know, through the ups and downs, you know, when you have your downs, of course, you question things. You want to, you know, ask a lot of questions towards how you can be better and things like that. And he was always honest. And, you know, I really got a lot of respect for him and what he did for this program.
So, Tweety, where did you actually watch the national title game?
I was in Portugal in my living room.
So take us through that night, because I mean, obviously your team's playing for the title. You knew all of the buildup, them and Gonzaga. You know, the first game got canceled, and so now it was only right that they meet for the national title. And Baylor goes out there and just whoops them. I mean, what was going through your head and watching that? And I can only imagine as it became clear that it was a foregone conclusion the Bears were going to be national champs.
But it all year, it's never been a question if they can do it, you know, for me, because I seen how much work they put in and night out, you know, and I'm tuned into every game. So to see them make it past the Elite Eight, it was just like, wow, they made it to the Final Four. And now it's time to just show up. You made it. It's time to show up. And that's what they did. They did what they worked all year to do, and they pulled it off. And just to see those guys, again, raise up that trophy, man, knowing that the hard work that they put in, it's just a big blessing.
By the way, I got to tell you this. There were about 30 times I tried to text you when you were in Portugal. And I think I had the wrong number. Oh, so I don't know who it is, but some poor son of a gun thinks that he's Tweety. And
wow.
Yeah, because we had like Paul mentioned, that we've had, and Craig, a bunch of the former players, and I was like, man, we've had Tweety before. What's going on? What did I do to get Tweety upset? And then I finally reached out because of the documentary, and I was like, I got the wrong number for like the last 6 months. So some guy keeps wanting to know, why the hell does he want to interview me? And he's probably like in Tuscaloosa.
Give me some random guy in the documentary talking about Baylor basketball.
Wow. But he could have just said that I'm not Tweety Carter. That's the wrong number.
Yeah, right. If somebody texts, we get something on our text line that we have for the show, and every once in a while we get some spam or whatever. Hey, by the way, we're going to pick you up. What? And it's like, that's not us. That's not me. That's not you. I would always think that's normal, but it worked out perfectly. Everything always works for a reason. It would have been great to have you on, but because of the documentary, the timing is also amazing. What are your thoughts about that they're having this documentary done? And obviously, it's well worth it, and obviously the timing's perfect.
Oh, for sure it's well worth it. To see those guys put in the work, the cast, and to be a part of it, and to see it firsthand, it's amazing. All the work that they have to do to make sure that this come out right. And again, the players wrote the story. We know how it's going to end. And that's the beauty in it. And it's just sharing all of our thoughts. And a lot of the past players, would love to share their thoughts towards this. I'm pretty sure because a lot of work was put in to get where we are today. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of frustration. A lot of questions, everything, man, and to stick through it and to really wear BU on your shoulder and chest, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing, and I'm just happy. I'm real happy about everything that is happening with the BU basketball for sure.
How bummed were you to miss the parade?
Oh man, that sucks. I'm gonna be completely honest because I wanted to be there. I really wanted to be there. But, it's everything happened for a reason. I'm here now, and I will for sure be up there looking at that trophy.
Well, Tweety, they have the plans in the works for the new basketball field house arena. Still kind of to be determined on the timeline. They're still sorting out the location of all that. But, I mean, what do you think about a brand new basketball arena / field house for the men and the women to play in moving forward here in a few years?
Wow. I mean, it's a special program, and that's what I set out to do. That's what all in the past, if you look at any of my interviews, everything was all about being a part of a special program. And, when things like this happen, you have opportunities to build, to rebuild, to build even stronger, and I think that's what's going on. And to see it happen, it's just fun to watch.
Do you feel like that because of what they did, they have a target on their back? But isn't that, as a player, isn't that what you want? You want people coming at you rather than you chasing them?
Yes, sir. It's time to step up. It's time to step up. Now they know BU ain't coming to play. You must come to play.
Does there a swagger come with that, or is that overrated?
No, we just have to. I'm pretty sure, Coach Drew and the staff are going to keep those guys humble, and let me do all the talking as an alumni. But I don't have to be humble right now in this situation. So, but it's just those guys going to continue to work. Me knowing the coaching staff and me seeing that they work over the years, I know they will keep them focused and keep them locked into what they need to do to continue to thrive and continue to improve.
Melvin Hunt, who's now a part of the Atlanta Hawks, and they're in the playoffs, told us that after the win, how many days in a row did he wear Baylor's colors? I mean, he went like days upon days upon days.
Well, I've been wearing Baylor color every day since I left Baylor. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, Tweety, you have obviously been one to give back to the program. I mean, you're no stranger to campus, even though your playing days are over. And you referenced that earlier in the interview. I mean, there's other guys that come back quite a bit as well. It just seems like there's a really good culture with the former players and then, wanting to pass that along. And we kind of touched on that, but how unique and special do you think that is? And it was actually something that Jared Butler said that he's going to be actively trying to help the future generations as well now that his career's over. How did you guys kind of keep that bond going and make it to where it is a special deal where the former players are so involved in wanting to help the new guys?
I mean, not be selfish with your information. Pass it along. It's all about the youth. And, right now, youth need us more than anything. We have a special gift that God blessed us with, and I think it would be selfish for us and the past players to not want to pass it along or not want to see, Baylor do well or these young guys do well. I think if you don't want them to do well, you never was in the Baylor anyway. So, I just feel like, we have to step up for the youth. And I think Jared said it best, we got to continue to do these things for the youth and see and watch the youth grow and help them out as much as we can.
All right, Tweety, you're from Louisiana, right? Yeah. Lace is from Louisiana. Yes, Rico's from Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
Jared's from Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure I'm leaving a couple other guys from Louisiana out. How did
Mark Vidal.
Mark Vidal's from Louisiana.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, Mark Vidal's from Louisiana. Did you teach Coach Drew how to speak Louisianan? Is that what it is? How does he dominate that state?
I think he's just showing up and showing that love, and giving us a chance. Not a lot of people will come to Reserve, Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, and Shreveport, Louisiana. Not a lot of coaches want to come there, but I tell you, man, we got a lot of players, we got a lot of athletes, and I think we got some tough guys there. And I think with a great chance, the Louisiana players will continue to do well and continue to thrive in college and in the NBA. God bless. Yeah, I think Coach Drew just did a great job of staying in that area because he got some great players out of it.
You know what, Tweety? We had Mark Vidal in studio a couple of weeks ago, and you have an open invitation. We are recruiting you to come into our studio here in Waco. Come in, sit down in the big couch, the big chair, and we would love to have you in studio, even though we have you on today, and you just tell me when, okay?
You tell me when, and I'm there.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Be a long flight, but we'll see you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
I know, right?
Hey, you played in so many different places around the world. How much of an experience was that for you, and how much did you grow because of that opportunity?
I grew a lot. I was able to calm down. I was able to mature. I was able to understand what was important, and things like that. You have a lot of thinking time, a long time. You gone for 10 months. I was just telling my brother that, I'm really gone for 10 months and I'm only home for like 2 or 3 months, majority of the year for the past 11 years. And it's like, man, I'm really the past couple of years, I'm really from overseas. I come home and visit and I'm gone again, so it's tough. It's a humbling experience, but it's also a blessing to get to see the world, get to see the beauty on the other side of the world, and it just was fun to have my family, kids travel and get their passport stamped to grow up and say that they traveled. It's just beyond a big blessing for me.
All right, man. Hey, it's great to have you on, and thank you so much. Great to have you. We've heard so much about what you said on film, on camera, and I can't wait for that thing to come out and have Tweety Carter and many others as a part of it. Thank you for what you do, and also the fact that you continue to give back. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Tweety Carter. He was, Paul, you were here. I didn't get here until 2010, but there was that run of Carter, among others. Obviously, Epe Udo was a part of it. And then, you start to get the others that come in. And but was he the tough? Did he bring the toughness?
He brought the toughness. He also was just the guy who, that was the first legit star they got. Who was a guy who was that they took away from other people.
That's when everyone was like, how in the hell did they get Tweety Carter? And, of course, because they weren't supposed to win, they're like, what's going on with Baylor? And, of course, people accuse of when you're not supposed to win, you're not supposed to get Tweety Carter. Instead of just saying Scott Drew and his staff worked their asses off to get him and others.
But, I mean, clearly, the reason Scott Drew and Tweety Carter worked out so well is that they're, they're similar. I mean, they just jive. I mean, it works. And that I think sometimes it's just that simple. Like, why did you go play for this coach? I like him. I like the guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's really
it. I mean, I like him. Yeah. It has nothing to do. I like him. He and I get along. That's it.
Well, there are some cases where it's just very odd, but there are, cases where that is simply just the case. Like, a guy went to Syracuse randomly. Okay, he could be getting some money from Jim Boeheim or something, but maybe a guy just random, and Syracuse is just the school that popped in my head, but maybe a guy just goes there because he likes Jim Boeheim. Yeah. Like, maybe he likes that area of New York. Like, maybe he likes orange and blue. I mean, there's a lot of things. We talk about high school kids, flipping schools because of uniform colors and stuff. You know what I mean? So, let's not act as though these are really super well thought out decisions all the time. And sometimes it is as simple as you just trust a guy's vision and you trust his process and you trust him as a person. And that's obviously what Tweety felt with Scott Drew and many others have as well.
Yeah, but he was the one that was, okay, now they got Tweety Carter. He can, and actually, and like Curtis Gerald, they had Curtis Gerald before that, and Curtis kind of transitioned, into that, but with Tweety Carter. But they actually got better when Curtis Gerald left. I don't think it was because of Curtis Gerald. It just that team, once he was gone, all of a sudden they had more guys that could balance it out. And Tweety, he was the first legit stud that they recruited. That wasn't a Scott Drew, like this kid's really athletic and I'll make him good. It was he's already good. I mean, everybody knew he was McDonald's All-American. So when they got him, it meant, oh, hey, wait a minute. And sometimes you have those that are one-offs, but he clearly wasn't a one-off because they've done it a couple more times.
He's now a lifer. I mean, he's a Baylor lifer like so many other former players. By the way, Royce O'Neal still alive in the playoffs with what he's doing with the Utah Jazz as the NBA playoffs continue.
I think that might be one of the more interesting things is when I first arrived, it was like the whole Perry Jones thing and, those group of guys. Deuce Bello was, around, and that whole group kind of flamed out, quite frankly. I mean,
Isaiah Austin, of course, had but still was never – he was good, but –
never quite what his ranking said. Yeah. I mean, and so, I was kind of wondering there's kind of a question of like, why aren't they putting guys in the pros, or why are these guys that are supposed to be stars not having success? But now that's flipped. I mean, you look at Royce O'Neal, Taurean Prince is, he's moved teams, but he's still in the league. You're going to add at least 2 to 3 guys here in this upcoming draft. So I think that's starting to build some momentum as well. And all it takes is one guy popping off and becoming a star for you really to see this thing take off into a whole nother stratosphere. And I think Royce O'Neal is probably difficult for him to turn into like a star. Because I don't know if, necessarily he's name brand enough or well-known enough, or maybe the things that he does maybe don't pop out like, many guys who are considered stars, but they've got some good, ground to work with, and this draft will certainly help.
I did notice, and of course you guys, when I was gone, one of your guests, I think it was on that Thursday, had written a story from the Salt Lake City area or a media outlet about what Royce had meant to it. Who's the star for Utah?
Davion Mitchell.
Davion Mitchell, a couple of different times said that
Davion Mitchell's a star for Baylor. Donovan Mitchell.
Spider
had made a comment that Royce O'Neal should have been a part of the conversation when it comes to the best defensive players, shutdown players in the NBA. Hey, a quick update. New deal. They will play either Bosqueville or Garrison. We have that game again, 6:45 here on SicEm365 Radio, 106.7 FM, The Eagle. They're now up 14-1 on Shiner, so it's a given. That's who someone's going to have to take on tomorrow. Bosqueville hopes it's them.
The run rule?
Well, you would think. It's in the 6th inning. It's 14-1, so I don't know. I would think so, but it's 14-1. Maybe in the tournament that's not the case. But if Bosqueville does win tonight, and they're good, they're like 35-3, whatever it is, they would play at noon tomorrow, and we'll have it on tomorrow if they win tonight against Garrison, a team out of near Nacogdoches and Lufkin area, a little bit north of Nacogdoches. So, all right, it's been a day, huh? Armstrong, you want to grab your microphones up for a second?
I got to pass this along. So we had to wait for a while to get on air, which is fine because it's documentary. But when you guys started walking up, and I'm like, there's 50 cars parked out here. Like, I'm not walking up right now because I was waiting for somebody to move. So finally I relent and I get out of my car and I walk in, and I was expecting to see some extra people here. I was not expecting like 50 people to be in here, but it was a party. There was a bunch of folks in this studio, and it's just good to be able to not have to worry about it, like just be able to be around people and to see all the work going on. It was pretty cool.
Armstrong, you and Jack were here a long time. Hayden and Emma are here as well. We always want to tell everyone who's behind the scenes, because sometimes that's every time without you guys, we don't even get on the air. We surely can't do it without you, but you were there all day. Mm-hmm. You saw this whole thing all day. Your thoughts about just watching it, and you've been a part of some big productions yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, they were actually pretty efficient with what they were needed to get done. Y'all thought that was a lot of people. That's actually not very many people, quite honestly, from what you normally see on a film set. And so with the limited number of people they had and the time crunch, they actually did pretty well, I thought, for setting up and getting all that kind of stuff. Because usually, I mean, there's hours of standing around on a film set.
I'm still upset. They had to dab my forehead with a little bit of that powder.
I haven't taken mine off yet.
Are you gonna shower?
This video is way cooler than what y'all talking about.
Oh my God! This is the time lapse.
This is the time lapse of today.
Yeah,
it's a minute long, so yeah. I mean, we'll have to watch it in silence, but
yeah.
But they came in, y'all interviewed, then they just reset for Ashley, interviewed him, and then tore it all down, and we went live.
Yep, here we are.
Day in the life.
Yeah. Like the things you don't know about, like, oh, you got to stop because there's a guy revving his engine outside. And like my thought was like, all right, listen, guy, we know you're tough. Just go.
Don't get me started on that, Paul. I'll get in trouble with some people.
Lisa Adams and Alan Calvert were the ones asking questions for us, to us most of the morning. Of course, there's so many others involved as well. But there was simultaneously, they were over at the Farrell Center, I believe, doing some things with Coach Drew, and there's much more to come. But and then all of a sudden, there we are. And how this place cleaned up so well, I have no idea, because it was, what Lisa Adams said, I said something about, no, we enjoy chaos. She goes, well, that's me. That's who I am. That's my nickname. And it has been amazing. And Sic'em365 is doing the documentary. We're not the ones filming it, but we're underwriting it. And when I say we, you, if you want to help, and I mean it, we need the money to pay for the bill. It's a big bill, but it's worth it because it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience with the national championship, and especially the story behind it all.
Your name will be in the credits. How often can you say that?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, like, you're technically part of the film itself if you contribute, because you help to partially bankroll it.
So contact either Colt, Ashley, or Brian, or any of us, and tell us you want to be involved. Last time we mentioned that, Colt said $1,500 came in just like that. Somebody turned in a check for 4 figures without the double. I'm talking about to the left of the decimal. We appreciate your support of that. All right, so we had Danny White, we had Tweety Carter, we had John Machota, Bosqueville baseball coming up in 45 minutes. Paul's going to stay late to help do that. Lark Smith is in Round Rock. Jimmy and the folks at Hector and JC at 106.7 FM, the Eagle. For Jack McKenzie, for Hayden Bumpus, also for Emma as well, and for Armstrong Sims, Craig Smoak, and Paul Catalina, and you, our audience who watch or listen or both, and, of course, the amazing sponsors that we've had since day one and beyond. I'm David Smoak. Good night on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.